Two questions came in. One, how do you define your confidence and self power in the context of spirituality? So I'm going to answer that. Your confidence is and your power, all of that is tied in you knowing who you are. You knowing that God is not up in the sky somewhere, God is living and breathing inside of you. I think that's probably one of the worst things that this system that we live in did was teach us that all of our greatness was outside of us. So that's part of my mission is to educate people and bring this information back in and remind you that God is in you. God is living and breathing and expressing itself through you. So when you finally have that epiphany and you stand in that power, of course it'll take practice, but that in itself, just having that knowledge and that awareness, that in itself is going to shoot your confidence to a whole nother level. When you really comprehend the fact that God and its entire kingdom is inside of you. And when you get that, it's like, well, what am I lacking? Whatever you lack in confidence, whatever you feel like you lacking that is due confidence, you don't have um, money, or you're not cute enough, or your body is not whatever thoughts, belief systems we have grabbed on and held on and we're believing and running with, when you know who you are, that stuff doesn't even matter anymore. When you know you are a living being, a walking, living God in the flesh, it don't matter. None of that other stuff matters. And now your job is to remember how to tap into that power, how to remember who you are and how to tap into that power and bring what's in here, what's in your mind into this reality. So I hope I answered your question. The person may not be on here or not, but I hope I answered your question of how do you define it? You define it by the fact that you are the God in your life and you understand that. And when you understand that, nothing else matters. None of this other small stuff. Now, granted, you gonna have to do some healing. You're gonna have to go through the process of unlearning and relearning and rebuilding your mind. You're gonna have to go through all of that. That's part of the process because you've taken on these truths, you lived in these truths, and these truths have really become gods in your life, and now they want to be fed. They're not just gonna go away. The God of lack is not just going to go away because you have a new thought that God and this entire kingdom is in you. So now um, lack goes away. No, you have to do the work to constantly refute these thoughts when they come. You have to do the work and build yourself up and stand in your power and tell yourself this new truth because we have been telling ourselves these lies for years. And now you have to replace it. So you have to go through the process of unlearn and relearn. Okay. So that was one question. The next question is, can you share techniques or practices that help individuals cultivate confidence from within? Now, this is probably one of my favorite things to talk about. Um, when I was building my confidence up, I practice a couple things that I'll talk about. I practice self worship. And I think that was probably one of the biggest keys that helped shift my mindset. When I made me a priority, and I didn't make me a priority for my man, I made me a priority for myself, where I would just stop and I would take time weekly to serve Kim, to worship Kim. And that would look like I may get dressed up and just go and spend a day with myself and just be drop dead gorgeous and spend a day with myself, take myself out to dinner, whatever. Or there will be times when I would put on sexy lingerie and just be in my house. I would cook dinner for myself. I would light the candles. I smell good, put on my red lips, and I would just be in my home. It was not about nobody else. It was about loving on me and knowing that I'm worthy. So that was definitely one of the biggest keys that I used to build my confidence. And another thing that I would do, I would take love songs and I would sing them to myself. I would create a whole playlist and I would take love songs. Like you got that popular song right now, Twin. I would sing that to myself. Twin, where you been? I'm singing this to myself. And this was another way that I use this to love on myself. So those are options that you can tap into. Okay. Any more questions? I'll give you a minute if anybody want to type in their questions. Or Jessica, do you have anything you want to add?
Yes. So for both of those questions about the confidence and about basically sealing in, it it answers both. I used astrology because I used to be obsessed with astrology or horoscopes when I was younger,
Mm,
and I was told that it was not a good thing or it wasn't right to indulge in that. And for a while I stopped. But when I started my spiritual journey in 2019, I started seeing astrology all throughout the Bible. And so, as a form of self love to myself and to help me build that confidence in myself, I study astrology and I study it from different aspects. So, like, specifically, like with the topic that we're talking about, cloaking,
mhm,
um, there are four signs that are cloakers. They excel at concealing their true feelings. And it's Scorpio, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, all from different angles. Um, but just when you know yourself energetically and you know yourself as the universe showing up in an energetic stamp, like in a vessel in a human body, it gives you a different sense of confidence. um and no matter what comes at you, you're able to flow with it even though it may be difficult. Knowing what's going on with astrology, the transits, like the energy is constantly moving. So today I may be here, like on top of the world, and then tomorrow the world may be on top of me. But even in both states, I am realizing and I know that I am the universe expressing itself through this physical body.
absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so if we have nothing, no one else has anything to say, I'm going to go ahead and get started on tonight's conversation. And what I want to do is really take the week to um, start talking about cloaking. And I'm going to apologize first because this is like my first live in this group and I'm just jumping in the middle because I feel like there's a lot more stuff to teach before we get to cloaking. But I shared a video and it's just been in my spirit to just talk about it. And if we have to work backwards, we work backwards. So, this is our world. We get to make up our own rules. So we're going to go ahead and start with cloaking. So, first, I want to let you know that I'm here to broaden your perspectives, okay? And again, I ask that y'all bear with me because I have some sniffles. My sinus is fully clogged. So, please bear with me, okay? As I try to get through this teaching. Um, I'm here to broaden your perspective, okay? And I want to unveil the mystical standpoint that's in the scriptures. When we do this, this will cause an internal expansion. You will see how stuff has been in your face the whole time. They like this, they say it's been hidden in plain sight. Okay. So now we're going to reveal this so that you can apply this stuff in your life and learn how to tap into your power. And I personally feel like this is extremely important. Excuse me. Because especially black folks, especially people of color all around the world, we are the most spiritual people on this planet, black and brown people, but for whatever reason, we are in the worst position on this planet. So it is my personal mission that we learn how to tap into our power because this is our birthright. This is what God gave you. When God sent you to earth, he equipped you with power. He equipped you with power. It equipped you with dominion and authority in your life. So again, this is my mission to empower individuals who feel powerless. Okay. So cloaking and invisibility. That's our topic for tonight. I want us to watch this video. If it plays. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why the video is not playing, but the video is in the group. And what's happening is, I'm just going to give you a rundown. What's happening is there's a young man who is being chased by a group of other men who clearly want to harm him. And out of the blue, he stops, takes off his shirt, and begin to do some hand gestures and speak some words over his life. And he literally hides himself in plain sight. This, before I get there, he literally hides himself in plain sight to the point where they are climbing on top of him, trying to see if he's on top of the building. And they have no idea where he is. They can't find him. It's about 10 different other young men searching, and the man is right there. So now for me, the question becomes, what happened? What did he do to hide himself in plain sight like that? That is called cloaking. And what that does is it hides you in plain sight. Now, in the past, we've been told this was something dangerous. Stay away from this stuff. It's demonic. You are not allowed to mess with it. Well, here come biblical mystic, okay? I'm going to show you how Jesus, cloaked himself. I'm going to show you different stories of cloaking and how you can utilize this stuff, okay? The question becomes, why would somebody want to cloak themselves? So we're not here to talk about right or wrong. So we saw this young man cloak himself. I'm not here to cast judgment to say, oh, he doing something he ain't had no business. That's not my place. What is my place is to say that is a child a mother didn't have to bury, because he's been taught how to cover himself spiritually. He's been taught how to tap into his power spiritually. So a mother did not have to bury this child. Okay. Um, you use cloaking as a form of protection. Again, maybe you want to protect your children. Maybe your child comes home and, mommy, they bullying me. And you doing everything to teach your child confidence, but it's not clicking. You can cloak your child. Okay. Um, maybe you want to cloak your marriage. You want to cloak your relationship, your family. You want to keep them safe. The big thing I want you guys to understand is we're not here on earth without options. A lot of times we feel we just out here and we got to take whatever happens to us. Again, I'm here to remind you that God gave you power, God gave you dominion, and God gave you authority over your life. And you can choose to use it or you can choose not to use it. The choice is yours. So again, you can use this to protect your children, protect your money. I mess with crypto. And I started messing with crypto before you got all this protected stuff like Coinbase and stuff. I was messing with crypto in the beginning when it was you had to protect your own self. You had to protect your money your own self. And you were responsible. So if somebody knew how to hack into that system and hacked your money, they got you. They got you. Well, I was hacked and somebody took a nice chunk of my money and I had to eat it. But what if I would have cloaked myself? What if I would have cloaked my money? I could have protected my money instead of taking that loss. Cuz that was a big loss. I had to take it. So, maybe you're in we talked about protecting your family, we talked about protecting your family, your children, your money. Maybe you're in a rut. Maybe they talking about coming to take your house. They coming to take your car. You know, life is hard, something going on, and you can't pay your bills right now. How about you cloak your house? How about you cloak your belongings that you have already invested in? How about you cloak, your vehicles? Like, no, y'all not coming to take my stuff. You hide it. You tap into the spirit realm to hide this stuff. So, how do we do this? The very first thing in you cloaking, you got to believe that it's possible. You got to believe that it's possible. So, one of the things that I tell people when you read the Bible, put yourself in these stories. You are reading stories about you. When you read Paul took his handkerchief and took his sweaty handkerchief and whatever else he put in that handkerchief and sent it somewhere to go heal somebody, you have these same abilities. You have these same superpowers. You have to begin to tap into them. When you read about Elijah, when the enemy thought, oh, we got him, and they encamped around him, and Elijah got up and said, God smite their sight. And God honored the words of Elijah and took the enemy's sight. You have these powers and you have to learn how to tap in them. So the first thing you got to do is believe that it's possible for you to do this. And once you get to the point of, you know what? Okay, I can do this. Let me see. Let me see what I can do. Start messing with it. Then you start practicing on a small scale and you begin to move your way up. Okay. That's how we begin to tap into our power. So let's look at these cloaking scriptures. So let me make this bigger, y'all, because I can't see that. Okay, so here we have Luke. This whole chapter starts at Luke 14 through 30. I only, for the sake of space, I only put chapter 28 in there, okay? Or 28 through 30. So let me give you a little background of this story. Jesus went to the synagogue and he went in there and read them folks. He went in there and read them folks and then dropped the mic. He told them, y'all wrong. You keep telling me I'm wrong. You wrong. And not only are you wrong, you not going to enter the kingdom. You stopping other people from entering the kingdom by spreading these untruths. And he goes on and says what he says and drops the mic. And the people was like, hell no, you ain't just about to come in here and check us like that. Absolutely not. So they got up, drove him out of the town, and took him to the brow of the hill on which the town was built in order to throw him off the cliff. Now here it go right here. But he walked right through the crowd and went on his way. Say what now? What happened there? They grabbed Christ. They prepared to throw him off the cliff because at this point they feel disrespected. And he walked right through the crowd and went on his way. What happened? I'm going to tell you what happened. Jesus cloaked himself. That's how he walked away. Jesus cloaked himself. Then we have another story here where Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul, my father, seeketh to kill thee. Now, therefore, I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place and hide yourself. So you need to know off rip that you're not doing nothing wrong. We saw where Jesus hid himself, where he was able to escape through the crowd that was trying to kill him. Then we have Proverbs 27:12. A prudent, a wise man sees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished with the sufferings from not hiding themselves. So guess what? Somebody tell you you're not allowed to do this, but you see clearly that's danger right there. They're going to come. They're going to harm me. I need to protect myself. But you allow another thought, another human, some other energy to come in and say, you're not allowed to do this. Well, guess what? Proverbs just tells you that you're going to have to deal with the suffering of not standing in your power. Whatever that is. I've given you power, dominion, and authority. And because you choose not to use it, you might lose your house. Because you choose not to lose it, you may have to bury your child. Because you choose not to use it, you may take a loss financially. Okay? So, here go Luke 1:24. And after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and she hid herself. Sometimes you're birthing something in this realm, and don't nobody need to know. You need to hide yourself. You need to keep it to yourself until it is at a feasible stage where it can function on its own and it can't be lost. Okay? So I want you to know that it is okay. It is okay. Allow your perception to be expanded and know this is not demonic. You're not doing anything wrong. This is you. Don't let people tell you you can't tap into your power. Okay? So, our key verse for cloaking. There's other verses, but right now we'll just deal with Psalms 91. And before I even get to something, well, no, I'm sorry. We'll stay here. Psalms is your cheat sheet. It's full of prayers, rituals, affirmations, and incantations. Look at Psalms as pre-written prayers. The key to Psalms is to connect with it. I told you, you have to be able to see yourself in these scriptures. You have to know that this book This book is about you. We not we're not we're not talking about Moses. We're not talking about Paul. We're not talking about Jesus. We are talking about you and your capabilities. And all of these stories in here are stories about you and what you are capable of doing, good and bad. Because guess what? We got to honor Judas too. You going to have some Judas in you. So all of this stuff in this book is stories about you and your capabilities. And you have to be able to connect with it. So when you are wanting to when you want to hide yourself, when you want to cloak, Psalms 91 is a go-to. And I'm not going to read all of this. I'm going to allow you to do that in your own time. But what I will tell you is connect with the scripture. Okay? Connect with it. Know that you are talking directly to the God in your life. You are talking directly to this infinite being that is inside of you. And you're calling on it to hide you and protect you and get in that energy when you're in it. Okay? So, how can we apply this stuff to our lives? Number one, believe you can. Number two, start small. How can you start small? There was when I was younger, there was a woman that used to go to my church when I was a child. And I'll never forget this. And I use this to this day. She shared a testimony that she was driving down the highway. She was doing like 80 miles an hour. And it dawned on her how fast she was going, and she spoke the words, bind them and blind them, Lord, bind them and blind them. And she said she made it to her destination going 80 miles the whole time. And again, this is when I was a child. So 80 miles is okay now, but you going 80 miles in the 80s and 90s, what you running from? They gonna get you. So she spoke the word, bind them and blind them. And I give that word to you. You want to start small. You want to start building your power up. You want to start building your confidence up. So maybe you are on a highway and now you see them pulling people over. Bind them and blind them, Lord. Speak protection around your vehicle. A lot of you know that know me personally. I traveled the United States for 2 years. I drove from Texas all the way to Oregon and back. I put some miles on my car. And I was in that car in peace, no problems. And I did this for 2 years. And I used that bind them and blind them. I used some other stuff, but bind them and blind them was part of it, okay? That was part of it. So learn how to use that. Maybe you're going somewhere. I'm telling you, you can start small. Maybe you're going somewhere and you want to start tapping into your power. Um, it's summertime and the mosquitoes are out. So maybe you say, you know what? I want to hide myself from mosquitoes. And you speak these words, you get into that energy and speak these words that no mosquitoes will bite me. I'm covering myself and I'm cloaking myself from mosquitoes. So now you out and about at events and everybody like, man, these mosquitoes is bad. They eat me up. And ain't nothing touching you because you begin to step into your power. So this is what I mean when I say start small and build up from there. Okay. Again, we went from bind them and blind them. Now you dealing in nature. Like I'm cloaking myself from mosquitoes. Maybe you got a bill you can't pay. Practice cloaking yourself. Maybe you're on a job. Uh-oh. What's wrong? Oh, it's there. Maybe you're on a job and maybe they getting on your nerve. Maybe they are talking about laying people off and you want to cloak yourself on a job. Guess what you can do? You can cloak yourself. You can hide yourself. You can do that. Maybe you just want to go in there, you having a rough week, who knows, something going on, you just want to go in there and do your job and get out. Let me go sit at my desk, do what I got to do so I can get out there. And I don't want nobody to see me. I don't want nobody to bother me. Cloak, hide, become invisible. Tap into your power. And the key to all of this is be consistent, okay? Be consistent. So, all right, that concludes our lesson today. I hope and pray it was a benefit to you all. And Jessica, do you want to add anything?
Um, I mean, everything all goes together. Using the Bible, using astrology, and in your spiritual practice, you do have to start small so that you could build your trust in it. But it's also you building your trust in yourself because it's everything is you and you are everything. So if you believe that you are the universe and the universe is you reflected back in your person, you can start small. You can say, okay, so I'm a Scorpio sun. What does that mean? How can I cloak myself? That's like one of the ultimate signs of cloaking.
Yes.
But you do have to start small with it. And I love like talking about the Bible and astrology because it's linked together and it's tarot is linked in to the Bible and to astrology. You can link it all together. So if whatever you want to use, whether you want to use the Bible, Psalms, the book of Psalms, some of those scriptures in Deuteronomy, other scriptures and stuff, if you just like read one a day in the morning or three times a day and you start small like that and you start decreeing and praying over your life, and being consistent with it, you'll see a difference. I promise, because when I was a
Absolutely.
Christian going to church and I was praying, I was seeing results. It may not have been all of the results that I wanted because I believed in a power outside of myself, but even after that, like I've seen many instances in my life where I have prayed or I have spoken over myself, and then from out of nowhere, like I got extra time to do something, or I got grace when it came to certain bills. So it's applicable, and I really can't really say that much more because we'll be saying the same thing. Like you have to use what you got to get
To
what
get
you
what
want.
you want. Hello. Hello. And I back that with saying it works if you work it. I am listen, I'm living this life. I'm living this life. It works if you work it. Okay? So be consistent, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I'm gonna go ahead. I love y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this show. I hope it was beneficial and you got something from it. And we will talk next week. I think I like this time better versus me getting up in the middle of the night Saturday. So I think I'm gonna stick here, but see y'all next week. Ashe.